Ever since Usain Bolt last retired in 2017, the world has been waiting for the next truly great track and field athlete. And if you've been paying attention, for the better part of the past decade, you should know by now that she is already here, and her name is Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. She is the world record holder in the 400 hurdles, and the reigning Olympic champion. In fact, she's the first woman to ever go back-to-back in that event. And on top of everything I just said, she's only 25 years old right now. But to be real with you, that's only telling half the story, because she's ranked inside the top 10 on the world leaderboards for 2024 in both the 400-meter dash and the 200-meter dash. She's only run the 400 once. She's only run the 200 twice. If you consider that the Diamond League is allegedly the most competitive pro track and field circuit in the world right now, it makes a whole lot of sense that Sydney would be on the starting line for the championship meets in both events. And that is exactly what was scheduled to happen on September 14th, because the Diamond League final was going to go down in Brussels, with Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone on the starting line in both events. But if you were listening closely, I said the word was. That means past tense, because she ain't gonna be on the starting line anymore. The Diamond League put out a statement that she will no longer be racing in either event based on a technicality, according to their rules. Even though she is clearly one of the world's best, the fact that she didn't run in any sanctioned Diamond League events prior to the final is the reason why they're not including her in it. The Diamond League knows that this looks bad, so they later decided to let Sydney run in what they call special races that won't count for the championship, whatever that means. But the last time I checked, professional sports is always about entertainment. If you want to make money, the only thing you gotta do is give the people what they want. And nobody wants to watch their final if Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone ain't in it, at least not that badly. In the year 2024, track and field meets are basically promoted the same way we do boxing and the UFC. It is all about the matchups, where we put fast athletes on the track whom people want to see. And that is why they tune in. You don't have to like it, but hey, the facts are the facts. And just about anybody with eyes that work and access to a stopwatch is clearly aware that Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone is one of the world's best in the 200-meter dash and the 400-meter dash. And the fact that Sydney won't be on the starting line anymore is a way bigger problem than most people realize. So I figured it's about time that we have the real conversation about Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, who is the greatest track and field athlete of this generation, almost without debate. And what is the actual reason why they won't let her race? Because pro track and field is broken. Just about anybody who is a fan of the sport knows that by now. And if we have any plans at all on fixing it, we'd better understand just how bad things are at first, and why. I am aware that I don't need to qualify just how good Sydney is, so I'm not going to do that. Just take my word for it. With the performances she's put down in 2024, there's no possible way you can award a championship to anybody, in the 400 hurdles of course, but in the 200 or the 400, without having her on the starting line and consider it legitimate. As far as the 400 hurdles are concerned, she goes so fast in that event that we're just gonna have to get used to watching women run 52 seconds and be okay with it, because they're not anywhere close to where she is. At least when she runs the other sprinting events, the 200 and the 400. The races have a chance to be interesting, and I said they have a chance because she went out there and raced against the woman who became the Olympic gold medalist in the 200-meter dash, as well as the woman who is now the bronze medalist, to put this in perspective, and beat both of them earlier this year. And I'm also going to ask you to forgive me, because I have seen a lot of comments that question how Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone is accomplishing all these fast times. Allow me to point out, she has always been better than everybody else at her level. They're the reason why at 16 years old she showed up to the Olympics in the 400 hurdles representing Team USA and made it look like she belonged there. And as far as her brief college career is concerned, ain't nobody touching her collegiate record in the 400 hurdles, at least not in this generation. I wish they would. I understand that she's going so fast in that event that it feels like it's impossible. But that's only because we haven't seen an athlete like her. But we also did the same thing about Usain Bolt, because we still watching people run 9.79 seconds to win medals, and those are the fastest times that we get in a year. Nobody has run faster than 9.76 seconds since he last retired. Let that sink in for a moment, because the record is still 9.58. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone is just a competitor who essentially has nobody else to run against. That is why running the 200 and the 400 in the Diamond League final makes a whole lot of sense, because at the very least, it's going to be interesting. Not just for us as fans, but for her, because running by yourself has to get boring after a while. But the reason she's not running the Diamond League final is because they say she hasn't contested any of the sanctioned Diamond League events, and the real question is why. But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, the founder of SCArecruiting.com, where I rank the best track and field recruits across the entire nation. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. And that brings us to the current state of track and field. So consider this my State of the Union address. When you are as good as Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, first things first, you are no longer allowed to win anymore. The only thing you can do is fail to win. Remember, in her chosen event, she basically hasn't been in a truly competitive race for the past 4 years now. The only time that it really gets interesting is when she's running the 200 or the 400. The circumstances alone around the Diamond League are a problem, because Michael Johnson said it himself, that the Olympics are the pinnacle of track and field. And as far as I'm concerned, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone has had to deal with the very real issue that comes with that fact in her career. Because track and field is a professional sport. That is why it is the most popular Olympic sport. Some Olympic sports basically aren't a thing at all. Even when the Olympics go down, most people didn't even know that sport was a thing until they see it at the Olympics. On the other end, we have sports that are professional sports, that people recognize and watch on TV, where the athletes make a whole bunch of money. Kind of like Olympic basketball compared to the NBA. The athletes in the Olympics aren't taking it all that seriously, because they're way more concerned about what they do as a pro. What you are left with in the gap zone are the few Olympic sports that require you to take it seriously as a professional and compete at a very high level year in and year out. But the rest of the world doesn't pay attention until the Olympics. That is track and field. And Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone has already been to the games 3 times. She even won gold medals within the past 2. If you add to that her world record performances, because she broke the world record and then broke her own world record 6 times already, which is 1 more than Usain Bolt ever did, you should understand that there's not much more for her to accomplish when it comes to the pinnacle of the sport. But when it comes to money, you don't really get paid that much for what you do at the Olympics. It's everything that is connected to your reputation after that moment. The endorsements, appearance fees, and other opportunities that come to you as an Olympic gold medalist are where the real money is. But that's for the athletes who can win gold medals. And that part right there causes a very real problem for the Diamond League. Because I don't know how to say this part without it coming out harsh, so I'm gonna just come out and say it. The pay in pro track and field is trash. I'm talking about the pay you actually get for competing in those races. The Diamond League is universally agreed upon as the biggest pro track and field circuit, and they only give out $10,000 to the winners of any individual event. You actually get $30K if you win the Diamond League Championship in the Diamond League Final. It's really not all that much money compared to other professional sports, especially in America. But it is a financial incentive for most pro track and field athletes, because they're just fighting to get by. Any track and field athlete of Sydney's caliber, which is almost nobody else in the world right now, will get an appearance fee. But keep in mind, when you have the type of reputation and legacy that she does, your endorsement money and all the other opportunities are way more dollars in value than anything they're offering you to actually run. Simply put, when you are as good as her, money is no longer the primary motivation when you compete. The value of those other endorsements are worth a whole lot more, but they're contingent on your status of being the best in the world. And remember, you can't earn that in the Diamond League. You can only earn it at the Olympics, and maybe help it out at the World Championships. And I said all of that in order to say this: Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone doesn't need to compete in the Diamond League anymore. they can't pay her enough to make it worth her while. If she does it, she is blessing them with her presence. And if any other athlete was actually in her shoes, a back-to-back Olympic champion with the world record that they've broken a bunch of times, who's also world leaders in multiple events, that athlete would not want to run on the Diamond League, especially if they have the endorsements to back it up, because you would have to fly all around the world, which takes a toll on your body to try to compete at your best. And remember, you already have the reputation of the best. All you can do is fail to win. So if you go out there, you had better be ready to perform. Don't be fooled by her age. Sydney has been a pro since 2019 and been dominating since the moment she started doing it. Now that she doesn't have to run all those races, she ain't gonna do it. To keep it a buck with you, everybody on the Diamond League, especially the American athletes, want to be her. But they ain't her, because they don't have her talent. So at this point in her career, Sydney is only competing when she needs to. She runs certain races to prepare her body to be at her best. And then, she has to run specific races, like the Olympic trials and the Olympics themselves, because those are the ones where she preserves her reputation as the best, because she's already got it. I'm willing to bet that if a meet does not qualify as strategic preparation for the rest of her season, or it is a championship event that actually means something to her, she ain't gonna do it. Yet running in the Diamond League final for the 200 and the 400 is something that she's never done before, because she's also never been this far ahead of the world in the 400 hurdles. Instead of running on their circuit this year, she ran 3 meets out in California, 1 in Atlanta, Georgia, and 1 in New York City. After that, she ran the Olympic trials and then the Olympic Games itself. Remember, up until the trials, she only ran the 400 hurdles 1 time. And when she did run it at the trials, she broke her own world record. When she ran it again at the Olympics, she broke her own world record again. Because why not? It makes sense that she only competed in the US because that is where she's from. And remember, the Diamond League ain't got much of a money motivator to bring her over there, unless they're coming with a very huge appearance fee. I understand that the Diamond League has their rules, but I also know they can change that rule book anytime that they want. They're only hurting themselves to not let her compete, because nobody wants to watch the 200 or 400 final for the Diamond League, at least not that badly, without her in it. They might tolerate it, but they don't want it. And this situation exposes the fact that the financial model for pro track and field is so broken that the absolute best athletes in the sport don't have much incentive to compete in professional races anymore, unless they're competing for something that is going to defend their legacy, or add to it. Winning the Diamond League final in the 200 and 400 would definitely add to it for Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, and almost anybody else who is not those few athletes is forced to compete for whatever prize money is left on the table. If you were to compete in every single Diamond League meeting this year, there are 15 of them, and get 3rd place in one event in each of those meetings, you could only rack up less than $60,000 for all of your trouble. That alone would be hard to pull off for just about any pro. The only ones who get legitimate appearance fees have already won world championship and Olympic medals. So I hope you've got some really good endorsements, because you're gonna have to split that money with your coach, your agent, your trainers, and who knows what else. In the track and field world we're living in right now, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone is not hiding from the competition. She wants to compete, I'm pretty sure of it. She just needs to have a good reason in order to go out there and do it. Money is no longer the motivation, and when you are as good as she has been for as long as she has been that good, it honestly never was. She just wants to be the best by proving she can beat the best. And the Diamond League says they want to crown a champion in the 200 meter and the 400 meter dashes. And taking her out of that field is certainly going to get somebody else paid. But as far as I'm concerned, without her on the starting line, we can put an asterisk on whoever becomes the Diamond League champions in the 200 and the 400 for 2024. And the joke just might be on them, because this year just might be the last one where they get a chance to put her out there for a Diamond League final, because next year she is already signed to compete for Michael Johnson's Grand Slam Track League, which actually does give out legitimate prize money to all the athletes. And he's also made it clear that there will be no way that an athlete as good as her doesn't at least get an invitation to the starting line for the championship. Because even if the casual track fans aren't paying attention, this is a professional sport, where the only way to make any real money is to give the people what they want. In the sport of track and field, confidence is everything, because when you win, that is just the moment when everybody else finds out what you already knew to be true, that fast is a lifestyle. Get your Fast is a Lifestyle track and field gear at scarecruiting.com/shop, or use the link in the description below. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.